It is 4 p.m. on Thursday, and that means it's time for another episode of Tune into Life, the stories behind the music. Compose your life like a symphony. Today's song is Epic by Faith No More. So without further waiting, let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen.
Anyway, you will never understand it cause it happens too fast. And it feels so good, it's like walking the glass. It's so cool, it's so hip, it's alright. It's so groovy, it's out of sight. You can touch it, smell it, taste it so sweet. But it makes no difference cause it knocks you off your feet. You want it all, but you can't have it. It's crying, lying on the floor, so you lay down on it and you do it some more. You got to share it, so you dare it, then you bear it, and you deserve it. You want it all, but you can't have it. It's in your face, but you can't grab it. Afraid, a lie, a sin, it's magic, it's tragic, it's a loss, it's a win. It's dark, it's noise, it's a bitter pain. It's sad, it happened, and it's a shame. You want it all, but you can't have it. It's in your face, but you can't grab it. What is it? You say, what is it? You say, what is it? You say, what is it? You say.
What a freaking awesome song. I love that song. I love Faith No More. Actually, their album after this was on The Real Thing, which was their third album. And Epic was great. Their guitarist at the time, they've had 7. Their guitarist at the time was really into Black Sabbath, so a bonus song for that album was their version of War Pigs, which, if you don't know, is on Black Sabbath's Paranoid album. But they did a dang good cover of War Pigs. Anyways, yeah, Mike Patton's voice is just awesome. Supposedly, I don't know if he still does because he's older, but supposedly he had a 6th octave range, which is pretty extensive. So I'm not sure, but their producer actually said that it was hard to capture his vocal range in the studio. So who knows? Maybe he did. Anyway, that's Faith No More. That's their 3rd album, and yeah, that song is about sexual frustration. Kind of like in verse 3, it's alive, afraid, a lie, a sin. It's magic, it's tragic, it's a loss, it's a win, it's dark, it's moist, it's a bitter pain, it's sad, it happened, and it's a shame. Anyway, that's what, ladies, that is what guys feel like. Obviously, heterosexual males who are interested in women, that's what they feel like when they're sexually frustrated. Anyway, enough about that. This isn't about that. This is about Faith No More and their song Epic. It's kind of funny because, I mean, there's room for Red Hot Chili Peppers, which we did Higher Ground not too long ago, like a couple of shows ago. And yeah, so hold on. Let me. Sorry, I had to there we go. That's much better. My camera was blocking part of the screen, so I'm like, oh, what's going on here? Anyway, so Faith No More really started with what was the name of the group? Oh, Strange something or others. But they were around for a long time, like 1979 to I don't know. Anyway, once again, ladies, I should have done my research before the album. Anyway, the only 2 consistent members were the rhythm section, and that was good because it was a good rhythm section. So Mike Borden and Bill Gould, I don't know what he goes by. I've seen both. That was the drummer and bass player, respectively. I think on one of the albums, Billy Gould actually sang a song or 2, but they all composed as a group. The interesting thing, to me anyway, about The Real Thing is they just fired their 2nd vocalist, and they were in the process of looking for a new one. And their first 2 albums, really their first album was an EP, and their 2nd album was on a minor label. And then it didn't do very well either. And so then they basically, the band without the vocalist recorded all the instrumental parts of the album. So they had the album, the can, as we say, except for the vocals. And then they found, with Mr. Bungle, they found Mike Patton. That was his old group, Mr. Bungle. Actually, I think he still plays with Mr. Bungle. He's one of those kind of hyperactive musicians. He collaborates with tons of people, and he's just got a wild imagination, and he's a really good lyricist, really good vocalist, and he does a lot of stuff. But his main 2 groups were Mr. Bungle and Faith No More. And anyway, so he came in, all the tracks were laid down, and they basically let him, hear the tapes, and he worked up lyrics and melody and all that kind of stuff. And then they were like, whoa, this is pretty good. That's where the song Epic came from. And Epic wasn't actually even the first single they released from it. The first single was Out of Nowhere, and they released it near the end. Well, it was the end of August, so that's near the end of the year. So it's near the last quarter, right next to the last quarter of the year. They released it, and it didn't do anything. And so they're like, oh, no, this could be it for our band. But then early 1990, they released Epic, and it just exploded and went all over the place. It reached number 1 in Australia, 10 in Canada, 11 in the United States, 23rd in the UK. So it did pretty well. And then they re-released their first single, which was Out of Nowhere, and that went to, I think it went up to 23 as well. So that's pretty good. Just shows you, hey, at first you don't succeed, re-release your song. So that was pretty good. Excuse me. Anyway, let us go to Oh, he's in a new display on Restream, so I apologize. We'll go to our first quote of the day since we're already 1/3 through the show. And I haven't even talked about the first success principle. But let's go to our first quote by none other than Winston Churchill, the grandfather, or maybe he's the great grandfather of the UK as it is today. So the price of greatness is responsibility. So in order to be great, you have to first take responsibility for your life, your deeds, and things like that. And that leads to our first success principle, since the tagline of Tune Into Life, the story behind the music, compose your life like a symphony. So compose your life like a symphony. When you take full responsibility for your life, you will succeed. And yes, many people have some level of success without taking full responsibility. Probably many more than should, but there is no should. But when you take full responsibility, you will succeed basically no matter what. Because when you take full responsibility, then you realize all my actions, all my ways of being, all my just thought process, and that when I take full responsibility, then I can succeed. And not only that, which we'll talk about a little later, but if I have a vision and I know what I want, when I take full responsibility, I can look at myself and what I do and what I know and go, very interesting. I need to work on X in order to get Y. And only through taking full responsibility can you get there, because otherwise you end up like blaming others, blaming circumstances. That's a main theme around here. A lot of when you blame other things or things outside yourself, whether it's true or not, doesn't matter. And you don't take responsibility and accountability for your actions, your thoughts, your talents, or lack thereof, then you're not going to succeed, because you're going to just kind of be treading water in the deep end of the pool, so to speak. So that's our first life lesson. And basically, I think Faith No More took responsibility. They just had they fired their second vocalist. And the reason was, I don't want to say he was toxic, but he lived a toxic lifestyle. And in so doing, he was not responsible. He did, I think he, I think he got in fights with other people in the band, like on stage. And I think I read somewhere he actually fell asleep on stage during a concert once. So that's not good. I mean, for most rock bands, it's either the lead guitarist or the lead vocalist, or they share. Most of the time, they're like the focal point. They're the one that draws in the people. They get them excited. Then people are like, oh, wow, man. Anyways, so if the guy falls asleep on stage, that's not rock and roll. Well, maybe it is. Unfortunately, a lot of bands and members of rock bands have went too soon just because of bad and stupid behavior, like overdoses or choking on their vomit and stuff. Anyway, so they got rid of their second vocalist, and that they could have kept him because they were ready to record their third album. Because like a lot of groups, they write on the road. Some groups can't write on the road, but a lot of groups, if they tour a lot, they write on the road, and then they kind of give it finesse and stuff when they get off the road. Then they go into the recording studio and they like play with the songs and try to work as a group to bring them together. So they were at that stage. They were done with the tour, and so they were going to record their third album. And he was just, like I said, he got fight with other people in the group. He fell asleep on stage. He just abused himself, like through drugs and alcohol and other wild behavior. So they got rid of him, and probably rightly so. But I mean, they took responsibility. It's like, hey, we want to be a rock band. We want to be successful. They haven't really done that yet. Yeah, we have a recording label that's backing us. So this record's really important. So we're going to get a new vocalist that we can really believe in, that can really help us launch to the next level. And so they got rid of him. Like I said, they recorded the instrumental parts of the entire album before they even found a new vocalist, which, I mean, I don't know the total history of all albums of all time, but that is odd that usually people work together more, unless the producer thing, which we talked about before, where producers basically, you go, oh, that's the new so-and-so album, and you're not talking about the artist, you're talking about the producer. To me, that's a bad producer. Or they should just be the recording artist and not produce their own stuff. Anyway, So they were working on their third album and they took responsibility. And so, in taking full responsibility, when you take full responsibility for your life, you will succeed. And in this case, that truly, truly happened. They took responsibility. It's like, hey, this guy's toxic. It's not a good environment. We want to get someone else. We already have all our material, so we're going to record it. So they just took responsibility. And now we shall move on to lesson number 2. But before lesson number 2, we have a really long quote from one of my favorite musicians, which seems, and you can tell me, seems to countermand the success principle that will follow, but we'll see. And also, there's someone in chat, so I'll go check that out in a second. But so this is by Stevie Winwood. If you don't know who that is, he was in the Spencer Davis group. Well, my temperature is rising and my feet are on the fog. Come on, Anyways, that's one of his songs. He's a great songwriter. He's in Traffic. Favorite song, Traffic. Low spark of high-heeled boys. That's a good one. Blind Faith, the super group that lasted like one double album. That was Eric Clapton. But you got Bell Bottom Balloons and Layla from that album. So that was no slouch. And he worked with Ginger Baker, Eric Clapton. And he had a long solo career too. Anyways, his quote is, don't buy this believe in yourself rubbish. I can't do his accent. Why do they keep telling youngsters that? There's no point believing in yourself if you don't know what you're doing. Once you've got a vision of what you want to do, by all means, stick to that passionately and doggedly. Believe in your ideas. And that's not quite the same thing. Like believing in your ideas and believing in yourself are not quite the same thing. So that's Stevie Winwood, and I'm going to try to have a quote by I was going to say a magician. Yes, a quote by a magician at least once. Anyways, so I'll say hi. Oh, Deb Lipinski in the house. Faith No More is Mike Patton. I'll agree to disagree. Mike Patton is a here, let me put that up there. So Deb, I would agree. He's very important to the song of Faith No More. He's a great lyricist. He's a great melody. But I think what all the moving parts of Faith No More is what made him. So I would say the rhythm section, Mike Patton. And to me, Faith No More is actually Mike Patton. Is the lineup on Angel Dust and not Epic. Epic's a song. The Real Thing on those two albums. So that was Mike Patton on vocals. They brought in from Mr. Bungle. And like I said, the bass player and drummer, Billy Gould and Mike Borden, were the only consistent ones in everything. And then James Martin, who was the like Black Sabbath fanatic, was a guitarist. And then who am I forgetting? So I got vocals, drums, bass, guitar. No, that's it. So that was the lineup that to me that was Faith No More. And yes, I mean they had 7 guitarists, 5 vocalists through the course of their history. They had 7 guitarists, 5 vocalists, 2 keyboardists, and the only consistent members were the bass player and drummer, not drummer. The bass player and drummer. Anyway, okay, like Don Daryl's Pantera. So I agree with that one more than the Patton, just because to me their best 2 albums were The Real Thing and Angel Dust, and that was really a collaboration through the 4 members I just named. But like I said, we can agree to disagree. But thanks for showing up to the show. Deb Lipinski in the house. Woo! Woo, woo, woo. Oh. Wow, we're getting philosophical, man. So maybe I'll add a 4th one and we'll just have Deb in there. So, of course, every band is a heuristic blend of people moving philosophically in the same direction. But sometimes there's divergence, and then it makes sense to reinvent. That is like so deep. That's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to save that one. We're going to make that a subject of a show in the future. And my mind just went, it's pretty deep, Deb, for a music show. But it's a music show about the story behind the music and the artist to find success principles. So, in essence, you are correct. The heuristic thing and all that. So, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that thought, but it kind of got lost in the shuffle. Lost in the shuffle. Uh-oh, I can't find the All right, we're gonna go large. There we go. Hello. All right. Sorry, Restream. So I use Restream for broadcasting, right? And it seems like in the last 6 months, they've had 5 upgrades and they keep changing the icons and things like that. And I just get lost in the shuffle. It's like, what is that? It looks like a artist palette. It's like, oh, that's what I push. Anyway, so let's get on to the second success principle to help you compose your life as a symphony behind the story of Faith No More epic. So if you do not believe in yourself, how can anyone else do so? So believe in yourself and your ideas. So the idea part is what Stevie Wonder was talking about. I believe you have to believe in yourself. But I think what that quote, let's go back to that quote for a second. I think what he's trying to say there is a lot of times people just believe in themselves with no direction, no nothing. And you have to have like an ego. You have to have like positive mental attitude and stuff. But it's kind of those things where, like I worked a lot in lean manufacturing, and lean is totally anti-slogan. So if you go into a factory or something, you like see slogans on the wall and like, we're the best. And if all those things are like just empty adages, and if you don't have anything behind it, then it's pretty useless. So it's like just vapor, just air. I think that's what Stevie Wonder was talking about. But so let's just go back to the second. So the second one is, if you do not believe in yourself, how can anyone else do so? So believe in yourself and your ideas. And that's a road to success, how you can compose your life like a symphony. And symphonies are really majestic and all that kind of stuff. So I hope you get that. Is that a metaphor, a simile, or oh, well, we're not going to go there either. Metaphor, simile, or an analogy. That'll be like a etymology show I do on the study of words, and I'll probably get a lot of people in that, right? Oh, anyways, let me go check the first. Oh, no, that's the same one. Oh, and we get a smile from, oh, that doesn't come out? Yeah, it does. Okay. So anyways, I'm from Chicago, and of course, I love doubles. And yes, I miss Chris Farley. Some people say sometimes on my show, I channel Chris Farley. Not that I'm as funny as talented as him, but I just kind of do voices and get silly. That's one of the things I love about him. One of my not most favorite, because you don't put most and favorite together, but one of my favorite movies, stupid movies of all time, is Tommy Boy. I can watch that no matter how many times I've watched that. It just makes me laugh. Anyways, I like Chris Farley. But back to Michael Jordan, talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence win championships. So, wow. Good for you, Michael. Thank you for the 6 championships of the Chicago Bulls, which we have never even come close to since then or before then. Yeah, if you you grew up in Chicago, it seems like we have a champion. We never usually have champions in more than one sport at a time. That's the first rule. Second rule is, quite often in any given sport, there's decades, sometimes many decades in between championships, like the Cubs, the Sox, things like that. Anyway, I think the Blackhawks are the most consistent. I mean, except for that 6 championship period of the Bulls. But anyway, I digress. This is about music. So talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence win championships. And the related success principle for that is, if you don't believe in yourself, how can anyone else do so? So believe in yourself and your ideas. Oh, you know what? I went the wrong way. So that was the Stevie Wonder. People are going, excuse me, Mr. Vancouver. I believe you've already shared that one. We're looking for the third principle. It's like, okay, so here's the third principle. You find people who can help you realize your vision, and you invite them into your life. We are the champions, my friends. All right, I don't do Freddie Mercury much service there, but that's one of my favorite bands, so we'll definitely do a song. But I mean, I was a huge Queen fan. I saw them a couple of times, but we're talking about Faith No More. So anyways, Faith No More had those 3 life lessons, and Deb makes a strong argument. Is Mike Patton Faith No More? Is Faith No More work without, Mike Patton? It's like, no, but I guess it wouldn't work without the drummer or the bass player, because Billy Gould, I mean, he was integral to keeping the band together. He kind of helped arbitrate all the different styles and bring people together. And so without that keeping together guy, I don't think Faith No More would have recorded ever gotten to the real thing, they would have split up before that. So, I mean, I think he was integral to the band. But the sound, I would agree, Mike Patton really gives it the sound. But if you were watching the intro, Anthony Kiedis of Red Hot Chili Peppers accused Mike Patton of copying him. And then I think the funniest response to that was Mike Patton goes like, yeah, I really like when Anthony Kiedis in an interview mentions me. It's like free publicity. That's awesome. And if he wants to diss me, that's fine. And I mean, by the way, me copying him, what? Got long hair and I don't wear a shirt and I rap. That's about where the similarity ends. Anyways, Patton's pretty funny. All the interviews I've ever seen with him, he's highly energetic. Yeah, he seems like a really good guy. So, we missed some. Let's see. Couldn't agree more. Boy, I miss those days. Oh yeah, and there's no REM without Stipe. Yeah. All right, I'm going to bring Deb on as a guest someday so we can debate that stuff. So, hello, Michael Stipe. Yeah, he's the singer of REM, and he's integral, and he wrote a lot of the good songs. I would argue that their guitarist, sorry drummer, but their guitarist and their keyboardist was essential to them too. I saw them, and what a concert it was! So who opened for who? Oh yeah, they opened for the Psychedelic Furs, which is one of my favorite groups at all times. Did Psychedelic Furs open up for REM? I can't remember the timing because that would have told me. But yeah, I love the Psychedelic Furs and REM. That was one of the best concerts I've ever seen. Anyway. So now it's getting near the end of the show. And now the time is near. And I approach the final curtain. Oh, we'll do a show on Frank sometime. Anyways, here are the 3 life principles we can learn from Faith No More Epic and the story behind the band. Hope you got a little insight into the Real Thing, the album, and Angel Dust. And then they've done some good records since then too. But Angel Dust is by far my favorite. If you think the Real Thing showed a lot of styles, which it did, Angel Dust did it even more. So that's one of the reasons I love that band. They're great. Their energy, their songs, just the weird combination of people. I mean, kind of if you look at Queen was like that too. They had 4 individuals who all had different influences and came together and just created, wow, what was that? Anyway, so for the 3 life lessons that we can learn to help you compose your life like a symphony is when you take full responsibility for your life, you will succeed. And I would actually make that like almost a mathematical equation, even though sometimes the law is broken. Sometimes people who don't take full responsibility do become successful by worldly visions. I don't know, by their vision, maybe. But in order to succeed in your life, you have to take full responsibility. Make that a mathematical equation. Change that around. And then if you don't believe in yourself, how can anyone else do so? So believe in yourself and your ideas. And the amazing thing is once you start believing in yourself and acting on your ideas and stuff, then the universe like comes in and goes, okay, we know you were struggling before you believed in yourself, but now that you believe yourself and you're taking action and you're moving toward your idea and your dream, we're going to help you out and give you people to help. It's pretty amazing. It's an amazing dichotomy. It's the law of attraction, which we talk about a lot on all the shows I do. And then the last one is find people who can help you realize your vision and invite them into your life. And then you together can be champions. So anyways, those are the 3 life principles. I hope you enjoyed the little back and forth between me and Deb. We agreed to disagree on some things. Sorry, the show's going to go a little over. And let's not forget that AC/DC is Bon Scott. All right, I'm going to have to agree to disagree with that one too. AC/DC 1 is Bon Scott, and then AC/DC 2 is Brian Johnson. Oh, wait a second. Is that his name? Yeah, I think so. Anyway, I mean, Back in Black rivaled anything they did with Bon Scott. In fact, Back in Black was just this week voted the #1 album of all time in Australia. So that's pretty cool. So anyways, back to the show. And we'll definitely do an AC/DC thing. I own every one of their records. And yeah, people will go, but they're so I don't know, pedantic. But so I as part of the show, I have to give credit. So Epic was written in 1989, copyrighted by Roddy Bottum, Billy Gould, Jim Martin, and Mike Patton. So as I end every show, there'll be a little outro as well, but living your best life creates a better world for everyone. And actually at least one of the success principles we talked about in today's show really exemplifies that. So here's the outro. I will see you next week. I believe next week we're going to do Funkadelic, One Nation Under a Groove. I'm pretty sure that's it. One of my favorite songs of all time. And I know you keep saying that, Vancouver, but let's do this. There's millions and millions and millions of songs out there. And I would say I have a top 100. So I could do 100 shows and go, that's one of my favorite songs. Anyways, I will see you next week. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching this on replay, Deb, thank you for showing up. And here is the outro to Tune Into Life, Compose Your Life Like a Symphony.